Consumption. Based on the overall discussion with Mr. Shashank, we can say that mainly there are four factors that affect his consumption decisions, and they are wealth, expectations about future prices and income, the interest rate, and income taxes. Since households consist of people like Mr. Shashank only, we can generalize the discussion and say that these four factors affect consumption of overall economy. Let's quickly summarize them. Wealth. Individuals consume not only on the basis of their present income, but also on the basis of their wealth. Consider Mr. Shashank and his friend each receiving an income of $80,000 a year. One has very recently got an ancestral property of $75,000 which just got credited to the bank, and the other has no assets at all. Whom would you expect to spend more on consumption goods this year? It's more likely that the person with the $75,000 in the bank would consume more. Greater wealth makes individuals feel financially more secure and thus more willing to spend. Increase in wealth leads to increase in consumption. If consumption increases, then aggregate demand rises and the AD curve shifts to the right. What will happen if wealth decreases? Decreases in wealth lead to a fall in consumption, which leads to a fall in aggregate demand. Consequently, the AD curve shifts to the left. Let us summarize it. When wealth increases, consumption increases. In result, aggregate demand increases. If wealth decreases, consumption decreases. In result, aggregate demand also decreases. Now, let's see the second key factor. Expectations about future prices and income. If individuals like Mr. Shashank expect higher prices in the future, they increase current consumption expenditures to buy goods at the lower current prices. This increase in consumption leads to an increase in aggregate demand. If individuals expect lower prices in the future, they decrease current consumption expenditures. This reduction in consumption leads to a decrease in aggregate demand. Similarly, expectation of a higher future income by individuals like Mr. Shashank increases consumption, which leads to an increase in aggregate demand. Expectation of a lower future income by individuals like Mr. Shashank decreases consumption, which leads to a decrease in aggregate demand. Let us summarize it. When you expect higher future prices, then you increase consumption. In result, it increases aggregate demand. If you expect lower future prices, obviously, then you decrease consumption. In result, it decreases aggregate demand. In case of income, if you expect higher future income, then you increase consumption, so aggregate demand will increase. If you expect lower future income, then you decrease consumption and in result, aggregate demand decreases. Let's see the third factor, that is interest rate. As mentioned by Mr. Shashank, spending on consumer durables like plasma TV, washing machine, microwave, etc., and investment decision like buying house, car is sensitive to the interest rate. The reason that Mr. Shashank has given for this reasoning was, many of these items are financed by borrowing. So, an increase in the interest rate increases the monthly payment amounts linked to their purchase and thereby reduces their consumption. This reduction in consumption leads to a decline in aggregate demand. Alternatively, a decrease in the interest rate reduces monthly payment amounts linked to the purchase of durable goods and thereby increases their consumption. This increase in consumption leads to an increase in aggregate demand. Let us summarize it. When interest rate increases, consumption decreases. In result, aggregate demand decreases. If interest rate decreases, it increases consumption, so aggregate demand increases. Let's see the fourth factor, that is income taxes. Let's consider personal income taxes, the tax people like Mr. Shashank pay on the income they earn. As income taxes rise, disposable income decreases. When people have less take-home pay to spend, consumption falls. Consequently, aggregate demand decreases. On the other hand, a decrease in income taxes has the opposite effect. It raises disposable income. When people have more take-home pay to spend, consumption rises and aggregate demand increases. Let us summarize this case in the following way. When income tax rises, it decreases consumption. In result, aggregate demand decreases. If income tax falls, it increases consumption. In result, aggregate demand increases.